Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of In the Dark. And for this video, I'm going to look at the death of Jeffrey Epstein, which I feel like most people probably know that it was faked. So I'm going to read a couple of things about the case before I dive in on the spiritual side of what was going on. Let's see what information we can get about this psycho story of how he died. Because it is very, very, very shady. Excuse me. I just ate. So Jeffrey Epstein, he died August 10th, 2019. The coroner ruled it a suicide by hanging, but when I get to the details, I feel like you are going to be like, yeah, no, he wasn't hung. So he was a sex offender and financier, but he developed an elite social circle. I'm reading this from Wikipedia if you're interested. Epstein developed an elite social circle and procured many women and children whom he and his associates sexually abused. And the crazy thing is that he had cameras in his houses, so he would record these actions being done. Real sick fucking puppy. Okay, so the time that, it hit the headlines was July 6th, 2019, when federal charges were lodged against him for sex trafficking of minors in Florida and New York. The way he died, so he died in jail waiting for trial. And the thing about his death, there are multiple things about his death that are very fishy. I'm like, I don't believe this for a second. Okay, so listen to this. So he was found, let's see. He was on suicide watch, but he was taken off suicide watch. And he was then placed, after he was taken off suicide watch, July 29th, he was placed in a housing unit with another inmate. And the interesting thing is that on August 9th, his cellmate was transferred out, but no one took his place. Fishy. Later that evening, there were guards. So he was someone who was on 30-minute watch, which meant that the guards had to check on him every 30 minutes. Somehow, on this night of August 9th, they fell asleep. They fell asleep and didn't check on him for about 3 hours. Furthermore, 2 cameras that were in front of his cell malfunctioned that same night. Clearly he was killed. Like that. I'm like, are the elites just not even trying to hide this shit anymore because they know they can get away with this? Because it is insane. So he was found dead August 10th at 6:30 a.m. But the autopsy, this is the other weird part about this case. The autopsy showed that Epstein's hyoid bone was broken. The hyoid bone, when it breaks, it is typically because someone is strangled, not hung. Oh, the hyoid bone is here. It's okay. Yeah. Why? Like, I don't want to get whatever, but the pressure that is not consistent with a hanging right here. it's usually, no. Now I see why they're like, no, the hyoid bone was broken. It was murder. So the medical examiner, like I said, ruled it a suicide by hanging. But Epstein's defense counsel, they were trying to find evidence that he had been killed. Um, it's just crazy. Their lawyers also had another medical examiner look in on the autopsy, and that medical examiner confirmed that with the hyoid bone broken, that is most consistent with homicide and typically strangulation. Far more consistent. That is what he says. Epstein's lawyers said that the evidence concerning Epstein's death was far more consistent with murder than suicide, and they got that with the help of their own medical examiner. They conducted their own investigation, including taking legal action to view the pivotal camera footage because there was about 9 minutes, or there wasn't a lot, but there was camera footage of his cell before the cameras malfunctioned. So they even quote a study. So a large study was conducted from 2010 to 2016, and they found that they found hyoid damage in just 16 out of 264 cases of hangings. Roughly 6%. So, no. Like, if that happens in only 6% of hangings, like, you're really going to tell me that this was beat all the odds and he did this himself? Also, with all of that other shit, the camera not working, the guards not checking in on him, and then they falsified documents to say that they did, and then it later came out that no, they lied. I feel like one of them is responsible, got paid off to do this, but we're going to see what Spirit and the tarot cards have to say. I will be right back.